Unlock your phone, send a message, open a video, check a map, and complain that one app took 2 seconds to load. You probably just used Linux several times without seeing the word Linux once. It runs beneath Android phones, web servers, cloud platforms, routers, supercomputers, and machines operating far beyond normal technical support. NASA even flew it on the Ingenuity helicopter on Mars. And the man who started it did not sell the operating system to a corporation. He gave it away. For free. That sounds like the worst business decision in technology history. Build software that becomes essential to the global economy, charge $0, then spend decades reviewing patches from companies worth more than several countries. But Linus Torvalds did not forget to add a checkout page. Giving Linux away was the mechanism that made it almost impossible for one company to capture. That is the part executives discover after asking how they can own open source. On August 25, 1991, Linus was a 21-year-old computer science student in Finland. He posted a short message to the comp.os.minix newsgroup about a project for 386 and 486 computers. He wrote, "I'm doing a free operating system. Just a hobby, won't be big and professional like GNU." Excellent forecast. At the time, operating systems were controlled by companies, universities, or organized projects. Microsoft had DOS and was moving toward Windows. Commercial Unix systems were powerful but expensive and fragmented. The GNU project had already built many tools needed for a free Unix-like system, but its own kernel was not yet ready. Linus was not announcing global infrastructure. He wanted feedback on a hobby. Programmers downloaded the code, tested it, complained, fixed problems, and sent improvements back. Linux grew because anyone with enough skill and patience could participate. But the early license was not yet the move that changed the industry. That came in 1992, when Linus Torvalds released the Linux kernel under the GNU General Public License. The GPL allowed anyone to use, study, modify, and redistribute the code. But if someone distributed a modified version, the source also had to remain available under the same free license. You could build on Linux. You could sell products using Linux. You could make billions around Linux. What you could not easily do was take the shared kernel, improve it, distribute the result, and permanently hide those improvements behind a proprietary wall. That was the trap. A useful trap. The GPL converted corporate self-interest into a collaboration engine. A hardware company needed Linux to support its device, so engineers wrote drivers. A server company needed better performance, so it improved networking or storage. A security team found a vulnerability, so the fix could move upstream. Every company contributed for its own reasons. The shared kernel became stronger anyway. Nobody needed to become generous. Their incentives only needed to overlap. Saying Linus gave Linux away misses the clever part. He gave everyone access, but attached rules that protected continued access. The code was free, yet the collaboration had architecture. And it scaled. Linux runs every system on the top 500 list of the world's fastest supercomputers. It sits beneath Android, which powers more than 3 billion phones. AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud depend heavily on Linux infrastructure. Then there's Mars, where NASA's Ingenuity helicopter used Linux and open-source flight software. A student hobby reached another planet before most corporate transformation plans reach production. The easy lesson is that free software defeated commercial software. It did not. Commercial companies absorbed it. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Intel, IBM, and Samsung, and thousands of other organizations built products around open-source systems because sharing the foundation was cheaper than rebuilding it alone. They compete above Linux. They cooperate beneath it, like rival skyscraper owners jointly maintaining the ground because privately inventing separate gravity systems would be inefficient. Usually. Then, in 2005, the Linux project lost free access to BitKeeper, the proprietary version control system its developers had been using. The company behind BitKeeper withdrew the arrangement after conflict around reverse engineering and competing tools. The kernel suddenly needed a replacement capable of coordinating an enormous global code base. A normal organization would create a committee, schedule vendor demonstrations, produce a 12-month migration plan, and purchase matching conference room markers. Linus locked himself away and built a new distributed version control system in roughly 14 days. He called it Git. Git allowed every developer to hold a complete repository, create branches cheaply, work offline, and exchange changes without relying on one central server for every operation. It was built because Linux needed a tool. Then the rest of software development adopted it. Git became the foundation beneath platforms like GitHub and the standard workflow for teams building websites, operating systems, phone apps, cloud services, and artificial intelligence systems. So Linus gave away one project that became global infrastructure, lost access to a proprietary tool, and responded by creating another free project that became global infrastructure. Some people write an angry email. Linus writes the reason your pull request has merge conflicts. Now look at the money, because this is where the story becomes uncomfortable for anyone who thinks free means worthless. Giving away foundational software did not leave Linus surviving on instant noodles beside a humming server. The Linux Foundation sponsors his work so he can focus on maintaining the kernel. That foundation is backed by companies like Microsoft, Intel, and Google, whose products depend on Linux. Public reporting has placed his annual compensation in the millions. The companies don't pay to own Linux, they pay to keep the neutral maintainer working. Think about that. Microsoft, once the symbol of proprietary software, helps fund the man maintaining a free kernel because Microsoft's own cloud business depends on it. Corporate ideology becomes surprisingly flexible when the servers need to boot. If one company controlled Linux completely, every competitor would need to trust that company. A neutral project lets rivals share the cost of maintaining the foundation while competing in the products built above it. Linux is free at the point of access because enormous economic value exists around keeping it reliable. Cloud services, hardware, support contracts, security, consulting, hosting, and devices generate money around the common foundation. Free did not remove the business model. It moved the business model outward. That's the counterintuitive reason Linux became so powerful. Proprietary software often creates value by restricting access. Linux created value by making participation easier while restricting privatization of the shared result. One model builds a castle. The other builds a road and makes every company help repair the section it uses. Modern technology now depends on that road. Containers, cloud infrastructure, Android, supercomputers, routers, embedded devices, and much of artificial intelligence development sit on open-source layers maintained by people most users will never know. The irony is excellent. The wealthiest companies on Earth compete using foundations they don't exclusively own. They contribute engineers and money because the alternative is maintaining private replacements for thousands of shared components. They discovered cooperation, mostly through accounting. But the model has a weakness. Everyone depends on open-source infrastructure, while maintenance can remain concentrated among a small number of exhausted people. Companies build billion-dollar products on shared code and assume someone else will review the patch, fix the vulnerability, update the documentation, and answer the issue opened at 2 in the morning. The software is free, the labor is not. Thousands of contributors and corporate engineers can propose kernel changes, but bad code does not become good because the author's employer has a large market capitalization. The kernel still has to work. On phones, inside clouds, across supercomputers, and while flying over Mars. Linux was not valuable despite being free. It became this valuable partly because it was free under rules that prevented the shared foundation from disappearing into one company's private basement. Linus did not build the largest software monopoly. He built something more irritating to monopolists, a system they all needed, could all improve, and none of them could completely own. So when you unlock your phone, load a website, use cloud software, or push code to GitHub, you're touching the consequences of 2 decisions made by one stubborn Finnish programmer. Give the kernel away, then give away the tool used to build it. Anyway, My computer runs Linux, my phone runs a Linux kernel, and the internet delivering this video probably touched Linux somewhere along the route. My Chimare still runs locally. No license, no cloud, no pull requests. And somehow, it's still cold.